Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is set to end the sequel trilogy and the Skywalker saga itself by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that yes, we do know that this film is going to be a revelation movie with a lot of different twists and turns that will lead to a lot of changes of the sequels, the originals, and yes, even the prequel trilogy era. And on top of all of this, we do know that this film is going to have a lot of dark aspects of the Star Wars franchise thrown into Episode 9 at the very end of this movie. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that shot descriptions consisting of a sequence in which both Rey and Kylo Ren are fighting the Dark Acolyte, who is controlled by the spirit of Sidious, where it's explained that they are all engaged in a fast-paced lightsaber duel in a similar way to how Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fought Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace in this particular moment. It's described that one of the sequences involves a point in which Rey attempts to strike Palpatine from behind, where he is able to put both Ren and Rey into a Force freeze state as he gives them a lecture about the dark side of the Force. Now, it's described that this is where the spirit of Sidious extracts himself from the Acolyte's body and begins to travel into Rey's body, just like a demon taking over its host, to test Rey's potential. It's explained that as this happens, Rey begins to age slightly, where she begins to have yellow Sith eyes. Though the sequence is very, very brief, where Palpatine is only testing Rey as a host, it's so that Palpatine's spirit is rejected, since she doesn't have a lot of dark side energy within her, where once this happens, Rey's appearance goes back to normal. This is where Palpatine knows that his only plan is, and his last resort is through possessing Kylo Ren, who is nearly consumed from the dark side itself. It's also described that as Palpatine does this, and when he went into Rey's body to extract her dormant dark side power, this is where his spirit is actually said to actually strengthen in order to stay stable once he takes over Ren's body later on in the film, and that when he does this to Rey, it serves as foreshadowing of what's to happen to Kylo Ren. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, yes, we do know that this film is going to be a very big movie. In fact, in case you guys did not know, Marianne, the editor of this film, she actually said that they actually had to edit this film on set because of how much less time they had to edit this movie in comparison to both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So with the third act of the movie being crucial to the plot of course, not just Episode 9, but to the entire Skywalker saga and how everything is really going to come to an end by Disney and Lucasfilm, we do know that Episode 9 now is going to offer many different aspects of course, the Star Wars franchise that we have never seen before on the big screen. So this particular moment in which the spirit of Sidious is said to detach itself from the Dark Acolyte's body and begins to enter into Rey's body and tests her as a host, it actually is rejected. Now, as this happens, Rey is actually said to age rapidly and gain the yellow Sith eyes, just like what happens to Kylo Ren at a later point in time in this film, and this actually serves as foreshadowing of what happens to Kylo Ren at the very end of this movie, where he fights Rey as a Sith. So what I like so much about this is that this is basically giving us a hint of what's to actually happen to Kylo Ren from Darth Sidious and his spirit once it exits the body of the Dark Acolyte, and basically giving us a little bit of foreshadowing. And not just that, Palpatine also does this because he senses dark side energy that is lying dormant within Rey's soul, and he's actually able to extract that dark side energy from Rey. Now, he's rejected because she's not fully embraced with the dark side of the Force, unlike Kylo Ren. So Kylo Ren, we do know that in the first and second act of this movie, he will be pretty much fully in tune with the dark side of the Force, and then by the time the third act comes around is when we're going to see Kylo Ren in a more conflicted state, which is going to be very interesting to see on the big screen, to see exactly how they're going to do all of this on the big screen by Abrams, George Lucas, and Chris Terrio. I cannot wait to see what this is all going to look like and how it's all going to come together in the third act of Episode 9. So the other piece that I do want to touch on here is that we do know that this film, at the end of the day, is going to answer a lot of the burning questions from The Force Awakens, as well as creating brand new ones at the very beginning of this film that will be answered at the very end of Episode 9. And this could very well have something to do with how the dark side itself is going to be used in new and different ways. After all, this is based after Star Wars Dark Empire, where Palpatine used essence transfer and even threatened Luke Skywalker to take over his very own body. And that's what I love so much about this, is that this film is really staying true to the EU. It's borrowing and cherry-picking moments, some of the most familiar moments, I must add, from the expanded universe and throwing it into Episode 9, mostly in the second and third act of this film. And that's what I love so much about everything related to this movie so far. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one from night to moon.